Hey, I'm Emma. Welcome to Revenge Pulse, where every story hits different. Hit subscribe and let's dive in. The prime rib sat untouched on my plate as my brother Derek's voice carried across Mom's dining room table. You know what kills me? Derek said, gesturing with his wine glass. Some people in this family just take and take, never give back. I watched my fork pause halfway to my mouth. 15 relatives occupied every chair around Mom's extended table, the one she only brought out for Christmas. Red and gold decorations hung from the chandelier. Bing Crosby played softly in the background. Derek, pass the potatoes, Dad said. I'm serious. Derek leaned back in his chair, the picture of casual confidence in his designer sweater. Some people just coast through life, expecting everyone else to carry them. My sister-in-law Amanda touched his arm. Honey, it's Christmas. No, he's right, Mom said, reaching for the green beans. Some people need to hear hard truths. I set my fork down carefully. The ceramic made a soft click against the plate. Take Maya, for example. Derek pointed his wine glass in my direction. 28 years old, and he still did this. When's the last time you helped anyone in this family? You never contribute. You never offer. You just show up with your little store-bought pie and act like you're part of things. The table went quiet. Uncle Richard stopped mid. My cousin Jennifer stared at her plate. Dad cleared his throat, but said nothing. Derek? Aunt Carol said softly. That's not no. I want to know. Derek's voice got louder. I work 60 hours a week to support my family. Amanda works part-time around the kids' schedules. We're drowning in responsibilities. And Maya just ... What works her little non-profit job? Lives alone in her cheap apartment. Never helps anyone. My hands stayed folded in my lap. I'd learned years ago that responding only made it worse. She doesn't even offer to babysit, Amanda added, her voice apologetic but agreeing nonetheless. We ask everyone else, but she's always busy. Because she doesn't care about family? Derek said flatly. You never help anyone, Maya. Admitted around the table, heads nodded. Small movements, but I saw them. Mom adjusted her napkin. Dad studied his roast beef. My younger cousin Emma looked between us uncertainly. Well, Derek demanded nothing to say. I recognized this pattern. I'd seen it my entire life, playing out in different variations. When I was 7, I'd won the school spelling bee. I'd rushed home with my trophy, bursting through the front door to tell everyone. Mom was on the phone. Dad was watching Derek's baseball game on video. My sister Michelle was painting her nails in the living room. Mom, Dad? I won. That's nice, honey, Mom said. Hand over the receiver. Derek, you are amazing at third base. I won the whole school. First place. Dad didn't look away from the TV. Derek, watch this play. See how you anticipated that throw? I'd set my trophy on the kitchen counter next to the fruit bowl. It stayed there for 3 weeks before Mom moved it to my bedroom, asking why I'd left my little statue cluttering the kitchen. Derek's baseball trophies lined the living room mantel for years. The pattern continued through high school. My 4.0 GPA earned a that's expected while Derek's C+ average with football scholarships earned a celebration dinner. My acceptance to 3 universities got a nod. Derek's single acceptance to community college got a party with a cake. You've always been self-sufficient, Mom told me once, when I was 17. Derek needs more support. You understand? I'd understood that needing nothing meant receiving nothing. I'd understood that asking for attention meant being told I was selfish. I'd understood my role. The scapegoat understands their role very clearly. Now, at 28, sitting at this Christmas table, I understood it again. You're absolutely right, I said quietly. Derek blinked. He'd expected defensiveness, tears, or silence, not agreement. What? You're right. I should stop. I picked up my phone from beside my plate. I should definitely stop. Stop what? Amanda asked. I opened my banking app, found the automatic payment scheduled for December 28th. Rent payment to Riverside Property Management, $1,850. Recipient, Derek Morrison. I smiled at my brother across the table. You're absolutely right. I never help anyone. My thumb hovered over cancel recurring payment. Maya, what are you doing? Mom's voice had an edge now, agreeing with Derek. I tapped cancel. Then confirm cancellation. A small notification appeared. Recurring payment cancelled. No further payments will be processed. There, I said brightly. All done. Anyone want more pie? The table had gone silent again, but this silence felt different. Uncertain, confused. Derek's face had a strange expression, like he was trying to solve a math problem that didn't quite add up. What did you just do? He asked, slowly. Took your advice. I stood, placing my napkin on the table. Thank you for dinner, Mom. It was lovely. Merry Christmas, everyone. I collected my coat from the hall closet. Behind me, I heard Amanda whisper something to Derek. His response was too quiet to hear. Maya, wait, Dad called. You're leaving early morning tomorrow? I said, which wasn't true. Enjoy the rest of the evening. I drove home to my cheap apartment, a one-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood that cost $1,200 monthly, and sat on my couch with a cup of tea. My cat, Canes, curled up beside me, named after The Economist because I'd always appreciated irony. My phone stayed silent. No calls. No texts. No wait. What did you mean by that? They would figure it out soon enough. I pulled up my spreadsheet, the one I'd maintained meticulously for 4 years, 2 months, and 13 days. Every payment, categorized and dated. Derek Morrison Financial Support 201-920-23 monthly rent. $1,850 by 49 months equals $90,650. The number sat there on the screen, $90,650, given quietly, automatically, without fanfare or thanks, without anyone knowing, because 4 years ago, Derek had called me at 11 p.m., his voice shaking. Maya, I'm going to lose the apartment. Amanda's pregnant. We can't afford this place and the baby. Can you? Can you help? Just until I get the promotion. And I'd helped. 1 month became 2. 2 became 6. 6 became 4 years. Don't tell Mom and Dad, he'd said. They'll worry. And Amanda can't know. She thinks I'm handling everything. So I'd handled everything while working at the nonprofit, making $68,000 annually, while budgeting carefully, saving minimally, dating rarely because I couldn't afford restaurants. While Derek told everyone about his successful career, his beautiful family, his perfect life. While he told everyone I never helped anyone, I closed the spreadsheets and finished my tea. Boxing Day, his landlord would be calling. I smiled. 2 years and 3 months later, I stood in my new office on the 14th floor, watching Seattle rain streak down the windows. The Henderson Foundation approved the full grants, my assistant Jennifer said from the doorway. $3.2 million for the youth literacy program. Excellent. I signed the approval documents she'd brought, scheduled the press conference for next week. And, Jennifer, great work on the presentation. Thank you, Director Chun. Director. The title still felt new, even after 18 months. Executive Director of the Pacific Northwest Community Foundation, overseeing a $45 million annual budget. I could afford it now. The promotion had come 14 months after that Christmas dinner, after I'd thrown myself into work with nothing else to distract me, after I'd stopped funding my brother's life and started investing in my own, after I'd attended every training, led every initiative, impressed every board member. Your dedication is extraordinary, the board chair had said during my interview. You've increased program efficiency by 40% in 2 years. What I did tell him, ID had 40% more time once I stopped managing my brother's financial crisis. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus, the attorney I'd been seeing for 7 months. Dinner tonight? That place you liked in Fremont? I smiled and typed back. Perfect. 30. Marcus had appeared in my life like the answer to a question I had known I was asking. 41.com, successful in his own right, a partner at a mid-sized firm specializing in contract law. We'd met at a fundraising gala where he'd been representing a corporate donor. "You're the youngest executive director the foundation has ever had," he'd said, offering me a glass of champagne. "I work well under pressure. I notice. Your speech about the reading program was exceptional." We'd talked for 2 hours. He'd asked about my work, my goals, my thoughts on nonprofit sustainability. He hadn't asked me to solve his problems, pay his bills, or manage his life. It had been revolutionary. "You're different from anyone I've dated," I'd told him 3 months in. "Different how?" "You have your life together." He'd laughed. "That's a low bar. You'd be surprised." The truth was, I'd spent 2 years building this life, deliberately, carefully, without my family knowing the details. I'd gone no contact after that Christmas dinner. Not dramatically, no big announcement, no explanations. I'd simply stopped responding to group texts, stopped attending family gatherings, stopped existing in their world. The first few weeks had been eerily quiet. Then had come the confused messages. "Mom, Maya, are you coming to Derek's birthday?" Me, no response. "Dad, your mother wants to know if you're all right." Me, no response. "Derek, stop being dramatic." Me, no response. After 2 months, they'd mostly stopped trying. Occasionally, a text would arrive around holidays. I'd archive it unread. My therapist, Dr. Lauren Matthews, had supported the decision completely. "You've described a pattern of exploitation and dismissal spanning decades," she'd said during our first session. "Going no contact isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation." They'll say, "I abandoned them." Did they abandon you first? Emotionally, I mean. I'd sat with that question for a long time. "Yes," I'd finally said. "Yes, they did." Dr. Matthews had nodded. "Then, you're not abandoning anyone, you're simply matching their energy." The work I'd done in therapy over 2 years had been transformative. Understanding family scapegoating dynamics, recognizing golden child syndrome, learning that I'd been cast in a role before I could even speak. Derek was the achiever, I'd explained to Dr. Matthews. Athletic, popular, struggling academically, but trying so hard. I was the one who didn't need help, so I never got it. And when you did need help, I learned not to ask. Now, standing in my office overlooking the city, I didn't need to ask anyone for anything. I'd built this independently. The promotion, the salary, the apartment, the relationship, the peace. My family knew none of it. My phone buzzed again. This time, a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, another call. Different number. Then a text from a saved contact I'd almost forgotten. "Amanda. Maya, please call me. It's important." I archived the message and returned to work. Jennifer had scheduled 3 meetings for the afternoon. A potential donor wanted to discuss a matching program. The mayor's office had questions about our youth employment initiative. I had a life now. A full one. It didn't include being anyone's emergency contact. That evening, Marcus and I sat at a corner table in Fremont, sharing a bottle of Pinot Noir. Rain pattered against the windows. The restaurant smelled like garlic and fresh bread. "You're distracted," Marcus observed, his gray eyes gentle. "Old ghosts," I admitted. "My sister-in-law texted today." "The family you don't talk about." I'd told Marcus the basics. Enough for context, not enough for drama. He'd listened without judgment. "Want my legal opinion or my boyfriend opinion?" he asked. "Is there a difference?" "Legal opinion, you owe them nothing. Boyfriend opinion, you owe them nothing, and I'm taking you to Vancouver this weekend, to forget about it." I laughed. "Vancouver? I have a case there next week. Come with me. Long weekend. Good food, no family drama. Sold." My phone buzzed again in my purse. I ignored it. "They're persistent," Marcus noted. "They're desperate," I corrected. "There's a difference." We finished dinner talking about his case. my upcoming grant presentation, the trip to Vancouver, normal couple things, future things, happy things. When I got home that night, my phone showed 6 missed calls and 12 text messages, all from family members I hadn't spoken to in over 2 years. I didn't read any of them. Instead, I poured a glass of wine, sat on my couch with Canes, and opened my laptop. My personal financial dashboard showed steady growth. Savings account, $47,300. Investment portfolio, $89,600. Retirement accounts, $142,000. All of it grown in 2 years without Derek's rent hanging around my neck like an anchor. The math was simple. $1,850 monthly for 27 months since ID stopped paying. $49,950 that had stayed in my accounts instead of disappearing into his. I'd reinvested every dollar. Index funds, Roth IRA, high-yield savings, watching numbers grow instead of drain had been meditative. My phone buzzed again. This time, Mom calling. I silenced it and went to bed. Whatever crises they'd manufactured could wait. Or better yet, they could handle it themselves. I was done being confused for an ATM. The crisis, it turned out, couldn't wait. At 7:42 a.m. on a Thursday, my office phone rang. Jennifer's voice came through the intercom. Director Chun, there's a woman here to see you. She says, she's your mother, no appointment. I set down my coffee. Tell her, I'm in meetings all day. She says it's an emergency. Jennifer, I'm in meetings all day. A pause. Then, she's crying in the lobby. I closed my eyes and counted to 5. Opened them, counted to 5 again. Give me 10 minutes. I used those 10 minutes to mentally prepare. To remember Dr. Matthews' advice, you can listen without agreeing. You can hear without helping. Boundaries aren't walls. They're gates. You control who gets through. Mom sat in the lobby looking smaller than I remembered. 63 years old. Gray threading through her brown hair. She wore a coat I recognized from 5 years ago. Her hands twisted a tissue. When she saw me, her face crumpled. Maya? Mom. I kept my voice professional. Let's talk in my office. She followed me silently. Jennifer brought water without being asked, then closed the door behind her. Mom looked around my office. The windows, the desk, the certificates on the wall. Her eyes caught on my nameplate. Maya Chun, Executive Director. You didn't tell us about this. You didn't ask. I sat behind my desk, keeping physical distance. What's the emergency? Derek lost his apartment. I waited. He got an eviction notice, 3 months behind on rent. Maya, they put his things on the curb yesterday. Amanda and the kids are staying with us. He's not handling it well. Still, I waited. He said you used to help him. Mom's voice cracked. He said you paid his rent for years, and then you just stopped. He didn't know how to tell us. The promotion he was waiting for never came. He's been drowning and too proud to say anything. I see. Maya, please. He's your brother. He made a mistake at Christmas. I know. That comment was cruel. But he's family. The kids are sleeping on our floor. Amanda is talking about going to her mother's in Ohio. The whole family is falling apart. I picked up my pen and set it down again. A small movement to keep my hands busy. Did Derek mention how long I paid his rent? Mom hesitated. He said, a couple of years. 4 years, 2 months, and 13 days. $90,650. Her face went pale. Did he mention that he called me at 11 p.m. 4 years ago, sobbing about losing everything? Did he mention that he begged me not to tell anyone because it would embarrass him? Did he mention that I made $68,000 annually and paid $1,850 of it to him every single month? Maja, did he mention that every time I saw you all? At every holiday, every birthday, I watched him tell stories about his successful career while I paid his bills. Did he mention that at Christmas dinner, in front of 20 people, he said I never help anyone? Mom's tissue was in shreds now. He didn't know you'd stop completely. He shouldn't have needed me to start. I kept my voice level. Calm. Derek is 33 years old. He has a wife and 2 children. I am not their parent. I am not his bank. I was his sister, and he treated me like an ATM that was also beneath his contempt. We didn't know, because he didn't want you to know. Because his image mattered more than the truth. And when I finally stopped, when I finally chose myself, not one person in this family asked why I'd left. Not one person wondered if maybe, just maybe, something had been wrong for a very long time. Mom was crying now. We didn't realize. You never realize. That's the problem. She looked at me with something like recognition, finally dawning. How long have we treated you this way? My whole life. The words hung in the air between us. Simple, true, devastating. Maya, I'm sorry. I don't need your apology, Mom. I need you to leave. But Derek is an adult. His housing crisis is not my emergency. You're all adults. Figure it out. No. Mom stood shakily. Your father wants to talk to you. No. Maya, please, Mom. I stood as well, walking to the door and opening it. I have meetings. Jennifer will show you out. She walked to the doorway, then turned back. When did you become so cold? The question didn't hurt the way she'd intended. Instead, it clarified everything. I didn't become cold. I became unavailable for exploitation. You're just now noticing the difference. After she left, I sat in my office for 20 minutes before my next meeting. My hands didn't shake. My heart rate stayed steady. Dr. Matthews had prepared me for this. They'll call it abandonment. They'll call it cruelty. They'll use every word that means you not serving us anymore, and try to make you feel guilty for it. What if I do feel guilty? Then, you sit with that feeling. You examine it. You ask yourself, am I guilty of protecting myself? And you answer honestly. Now, sitting in my office, I ask myself that question. Am I guilty of protecting myself? No, I was not. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Mom said you refused to help. After everything this family has done for you. I screenshotted the message and sent it to Dr. Matthews with a note. Exhibit A. Her response came quickly. Perfect example of Darvo deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. You're the victim of exploitation, but he's making himself the victim of your boundaries. I sent back, noted. Then I blocked Derek's number. That afternoon, Amanda called my office line. Jennifer transferred her before I could say no. Maya, please listen. I didn't know Derek wasn't paying rent. I thought his salary covered everything. I'm not asking you to help him. I'm asking you to talk to him. He's been sitting in his car for 3 hours crying. He won't come inside. The kids keep asking where Daddy is. Amanda, I'm sorry you're in this situation. Genuinely. But this is between you and Derek. He said, you hate him. I don't hate him. I'm done enabling him. There's a difference. He made one comment at Christmas. He made one public comment at Christmas after 4 years of private exploitation. The comment wasn't the problem. The expectation was. What expectation? That I would fund his life forever without acknowledgement, appreciation, or basic respect. Amanda was quiet for a moment. I didn't know. I believe you. But not knowing doesn't change what happened. Derek needs to handle this himself. You need to make decisions based on reality, not the image he's been maintaining, and I need to live my life. He's your brother. He's my brother who called me a burden while I paid his bills. Actions have consequences, Amanda, even for family. After we hung up, I texted Marcus. Family found me. At work. It's escalating. His response. Do you need me to come over tonight? Yes, please. Be there at 7. Bringing Thai food and emotional support. That evening, I walked him through everything while we ate pad thai on my couch. He listened without interrupting, his legal mind processing the information. You documented everything, he asked. Spreadsheet, with every transaction. Dates, amounts, confirmation numbers. Good. If they escalate legally, you're protected. You think they'd sue me? Desperate people do desperate things, but they have no case. You made voluntary payments. You stopped voluntary payments. You have proof. They have entitlement. He set his food down and took my hand. Maya, I need you to hear this. You are not responsible for their crisis. You didn't create it. You don't have to fix it. I know. Do you? Because you're shaking. I looked at my hands. He was right. He was right. I spent 28 years being responsible for everything, I said quietly, for not needing too much, for not asking for help, for making everything easier for everyone else. Stopping feels like I'm breaking a rule. You're not breaking a rule. You're breaking a pattern, and patterns fight back when they're threatened. He pulled me close. They're going to escalate before they accept this. Be ready. He was right. Over the next week, the messages poured in. Dad, your mother is having chest pains from stress. Is that what you want? Aunt Carol, I never thought you'd turn your back on family like this. Cousin Jennifer, Derek's kids are crying. How can you sleep at night? Uncle Richard, you were always selfish. Even as a kid. This proves it. I saved every message. Didn't respond to any of them. Dr. Matthews' advice. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. You don't owe them a debate. On day 9, a letter arrived at my apartment. Hand-delivered. Mom's handwriting on the envelope. Inside, a 3-page letter detailing everything I owed the family. Every Christmas gift, every dinner they'd hosted. Every time they'd been there for me. At the bottom, we need $15,000 for Derek S. Security deposit and first month S. Rent at a new place. You can afford it? You owe us this. I photographed the letter and sent it to Marcus. Is that all? I'm sorry about taking advantage, about not telling Mom and Dad, about letting you pay for everything while I pretended I had it together. Okay. He looked confused. That's it. You apologized. I heard you. Is there anything else? I need help. There it was. No. Maya, please. Just 3 months of rent. That's all. I have a job interview next week. A good one. Real money. I just need to get through this rough patch. No. You have the money now. I saw your office. Your title. You're making 6 figures. Easy. What's $5,000 to you? It's $5,000 that stays in my account. His face hardened. So that's it? You're just going to watch me fail? I'm going to watch you handle your own life. This is revenge. This is punishment for one comment. This is self-preservation from a lifetime of being last priority. We didn't know you felt that way. Yes, you did. You just didn't care. Derek's hands clenched into fists, not threatening, just frustrated. What do you want from me? What would make this right? Nothing. That's the point. I don't want anything from you anymore. So I just what? Lose everything. My kids see their dad fail. Your kids see their dad take responsibility, maybe for the first time. You're enjoying this. His voice turned cold. You're enjoying watching me suffer. I'm not watching you at all, Derek. I'm living my life. You're just not in it. After everything this family did for you, name one thing. I crossed my arms. One thing this family did for me that they didn't do because it benefited them or someone else. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. No. That's what I thought. Your 3 minutes are up. Leave, or I'm calling the police. You wouldn't? I pulled out my phone. Started dialing. Maya, wait 911. He held up his hands. Fine. I'm leaving. He walked to the stairwell, then turned back. Mom's right. You have become cold. No, Derek. I've become expensive. You just can't afford me anymore after I left. I stood in the hallway for a full minute. My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. I felt ... nothing. No guilt, no anger, no satisfaction. Just peace. Peace. Went to work. The board meeting went well. We approved 3 new programs and a budget increase. The chair pulled me aside afterward. Maya, I've been meaning to ask, how would you feel about speaking at the National Nonprofit Leadership Conference in April? I'd be honored. Excellent. You're doing remarkable work here. The board is very impressed. That afternoon, Marcus called. Lunch? My treat? We met at a cafe near his office. He looked at me carefully as I sat down. You look different. Different how? Lighter. What happened? I told him about Derek in the hallway, the confrontation, the dial tone on my phone as I started calling 911. How do you feel? He asked. Free. He smiled. Good. You should feel free. Want to know a secret? Always. I was worried when we first started dating. You talked about your family stuff, and I could see how much weight you were carrying. I thought, this is going to break her eventually. But you're not breaking. You're building. Building what? A life they can't touch. It's impressive as hell. We ordered lunch, talked about work, about the Vancouver trip we'd rescheduled for next month, about his case that was going to trial. Normal couple things. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Family meeting Sunday. Your presence is required. I showed Marcus. Are you going? No. Good answer. I blocked the number and ordered desserts. That Sunday, while they presumably gathered to discuss me, I went hiking with Marcus and 2 of his friends. We climbed Rattlesnake Ledge, had lunch at the summit, talked about everything except family drama. His friend Teresa, a fellow attorney, asked me about my work. I told her about the literacy program, the grant we'd secured, the kids we were helping. That's incredible, she said. How did you get into nonprofit work? I wanted to help people who actually appreciated it, I said. Marcus squeezed my hand. On the drive home, he said. You know what's funny? What? You said you wanted to help people who appreciated it, but I don't think that's quite right. No. I think you wanted to help people who couldn't exploit you. Big difference. I thought about that. You might be right. I'm always right. I'm a lawyer. I laughed. Actually, laughed. When had I last done that with my family? I couldn't remember. That night, another email arrived. From Dad, this time, subject, disappointing Maya. Your mother and I raised you better than this. We taught you about family loyalty, about responsibility, about being there for people who need you. Derek made a mistake. One comment at Christmas. That is all. And you've turned it into this nuclear option that's tearing this family apart. He's interviewing for jobs, but every landlord wants first month, last month, and deposit. I'm not asking you to support him forever. I'm asking you to help him get back on his feet. 6 months. That's all. Then you can wash your hands of all of us if that's what you really want. But if you let your brother become homeless out of spite, you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life. Your father. I read it twice. Then I forwarded it to Dr. Matthews, with a note. Is this gaslighting, or just regular manipulation? Her response came within minutes. Both. Notice how your father makes no acknowledgement of what Derek did, no accountability for the family's treatment of you, and frames your boundary as spite. Classic manipulation wrapped in parental authority. I responded, how should I handle it? You don't. You let it sit. Their crisis is not your emergency. I deleted the email and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls, all from the same number. Amanda. I called Marcus. It's escalating again. Want me to come over? No. I'm okay. Just. They're persistent. They're desperate. There's a difference. Block the number. Primera blocked Italiano. 10 minutes later, Jennifer called Director Chun. I'm so sorry to bother you before work hours. But your sister-in-law is in the lobby. She says it's an emergency with your brother. What kind of emergency? She says he's in the hospital. My stomach dropped. What happened? She wouldn't say. She just wants you to come to Harborview Medical Center. I stood in my kitchen, coffee cup in hand, facing a decision. Go to the hospital and get sucked back in, or hold the boundary and risk. What? What was I really risking? I called Dr. Matthews. Emergency session. He's in the hospital, I said. Amanda says it's serious. Do you believe her? I don't know. Maya, in all the years we've worked together, what have you learned about manipulation? That it escalates when boundaries hold. And what's a classic escalation tactic? Fake emergencies. Health scares. Exactly. Now, let me ask. If Derek was genuinely hospitalized with something serious, who would they call first? You? The sister who hasn't spoken to them in years? Or his wife's parents? His best friend? His employer? Good point. You can call the hospital and verify if you want, but I suspect you'll find no record of him being there. I called Harborview Medical Center. I'm calling to check on a patient, Derek Morrison. M-O-R-A, pause. Keyboard clicking. I don't show anyone by that name, checked in. Can you check the emergency room? More clicking. No, ma'am. No Derek Morrison in our system today. Thank you. I hung up and texted Jennifer. He's not at the hospital. Have security remove her if she won't leave voluntarily. Then I blocked Amanda's number. The fake emergency was the final straw. The last evidence I needed that they would do anything, say anything, to manipulate me back into place. I wasn't going back. Not for fake emergencies. Not for real ones. Not for anything. 10 months later, I stood on the balcony of a villa in Tuscany, watching the sun set over vineyards. Your wine, Director Chan? Marcus handed me a glass of Chianti, then wrapped his arm around my waist. Thank you, Counselor Marcus. How does it feel to be on vacation for 2 whole weeks with no emergency calls? Surreal. Wonderful. Perfect. We'd flown into Rome 3 days ago, spent 2 days wandering the city, eating gelato, visiting the Colosseum, then drove to this villa in Tuscany for a week of absolute peace. My phone sat in the hotel, safe in Rome. Powered off. No regrets. Marcus asked softly. He was asking about more than the vacation. He was asking about the 10 months of silence, the family I'd walked away from completely. None. And I meant it. The months since the fake hospital emergency had been transformative, not because anything dramatic had happened, but because nothing had, no crisis to manage. No brother to fund, no family to appease. Just ... life. My life, work, had flourished. The literacy program had expanded to 3 new cities. I'd given the keynote at the National Nonprofit Leadership Conference. You're the best director this foundation has ever had, the board chair had said. We want to keep you here long term. Marcus and I had moved in together 4 months ago. A condo in Ballard with a water view. Split expenses, 50, shared responsibilities. Equal partnership. This is weird, I'd said the first week we lived together. What is? No one needs me to solve their problems. You just handle your life. He'd laughed. That's called being an adult. You should try it. I am trying it. It's revolutionary. Dr. Matthews had helped me navigate the transition, the guilt that occasionally surfaced, the wondering if I'd been too harsh, the moments of doubt. Guilt is learned, she'd reminded me. Your family trained you to feel guilty for having boundaries. But guilt isn't evidence that you're wrong. It's evidence that you're changing a pattern. I'd framed that quote and put it on my desk. My savings account now held $89,400. My investment portfolio had grown to $156,000. I'd taken 3 vacations, one to Vancouver with Marcus, one to Portland alone, and now this trip to Italy. Each time I'd spent money on myself, the guilt had gotten a little quieter. You know what I realized? I told Marcus as we watched the Tuscan sunset. What's that? I spent 28 years making myself small so everyone else could be big, and the moment I took up space, they called it cruelty. That's their problem, not yours. I know, but it took me a long time to really know it. He kissed my temple. You know what I love about you? My sparkling personality. That, but also your strength. You walked away from everything familiar to protect yourself. That takes courage most people never find. I had help. You, Dr. Matthews, Jennifer at work. You had support, but you did the work. That night, we had dinner at a small restaurant in the village. Fresh pasta, local wine, bread still warm from the oven. The owner's daughter brought us tiramisu and wouldn't let us pay for it. For the beautiful couple, she said in broken English. You look happy. We were happy. Actually, genuinely happy. The kind of happiness that comes from peace, not performance. Back at the villa, I checked my email on the laptop I'd brought. Just work stuff. Nothing urgent. I started to close it when I saw a message from Jennifer. Subject: FYI, Director Chun, a woman claiming to be your mother, came to the office today asking to see you. I told her you were out of the country on vacation. She left this letter and asked me to forward it to you. I've scanned it below. Let me know if you want me to handle this differently going forward. Enjoy Italy. *J. The scanned letter appeared below. Mom's handwriting. Shaky now. Dear Maya, I've tried to give you space, like you asked. It's been almost a year since we've spoken. Your father and I respect your boundaries, even though we don't understand them. I'm writing to let you know that Derek and Amanda are divorcing. She took the kids to Ohio 3 months ago. Derek is living with us now. He's getting help therapy, job counseling, etc. Your father had a heart scare last month. He's okay now, but it made me think about time. About how much we've wasted. About how I may have failed you in ways I'm only now beginning to see. I'm not asking you to come back. I'm not asking you to help Derek. I'm just asking you to know that we're here. That your room is still your room. That if you ever want to talk, we're willing to listen. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. I hope someday you can forgive us for not seeing you clearly. Love. Mom. I read it twice. Then I closed the laptop. Marcus looked at me from the couch. Everything okay? Yeah. Just ... Closure, I think. Want to talk about it? Not really. Not tonight. Okay. Come here. I curled up next to him on the couch. He put on an Italian film neither of us understood. We watched anyway, making up ridiculous dialogue. Later, lying in bed with the windows open and the sound of cicadas filling the room, I thought about Mom's letter. I felt ... nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even sadness. Just a quiet recognition that they'd finally noticed what I'd been saying all along. I didn't need their acknowledgement anymore. I'd already moved on. The next morning, I replied to Jennifer's email. Jennifer, thank you for handling that. If any family members come to the office again, you have permission to have security remove them without contacting me first. I appreciate you running interference. Maya then, I added, P.S. When I'm back, let's discuss that promotion you've earned. Assistant director has a nice ring to it. We spent the rest of the vacation exploring Tuscany, wine tasting in Montalcino, walking through Florence, getting lost in Sienna's medieval streets. On our last night, Marcus took me to dinner at a restaurant overlooking the Arno River. I have something to ask you, he said over dessert. My heart jumped. Okay. He pulled out a small box. Maya Chun, you are the strongest, smartest, most self-possessed person I've ever met. You rebuilt your life from nothing. You protected yourself when no one else would. You're extraordinary. He opened the box. A simple gold ring with a small diamond. Will you marry me? I looked at the ring. At him. At the life we'd built together in less than 2 years. The partnership. The equality. The peace. Yes, I said, absolutely yes. He slipped the ring on my finger. We kissed while the Italian diners around us applauded. One condition, I said. Anything. Small. Wedding. Just us and people who actually showed up for us. Deal. We flew home 3 days later. Back to Seattle, back to work, back to our life. A life I'd built deliberately, carefully. Without my family's help or approval, the foundation threw me a small engagement party. Jennifer, the board members, my work friends, Marcus's colleagues, 30 people who celebrated us genuinely. No one asked about my family. They knew better. Dr. Matthews sent a card. You chose yourself. Everything good follows from that choice. She was right. 6 months after Italy, Marcus and I got married on a beach in Oregon. 15 guests. His parents, his sister, his best friend, my mentor from the nonprofit world, Jennifer, Dr. Matthews, a handful of friends. The ceremony lasted 12 minutes. The celebration lasted all night. Any regrets? Marcus asked as we danced under string lights. Not one. Not even a little. Not even a little. Because here's what I'd learned. You can't abandon people who never claimed you. You can't betray people who never valued you. You can't be cruel to people who were never kind. I'd spent 28 years being the invisible supporter. The silent bank, the unappreciated foundation. Now I was the celebrated director. The valued partner, the woman who chose herself. And somewhere in Washington, Derek was figuring out how to live within his means. Amanda was raising her kids in Ohio. My parents were learning what too late meant. I didn't wish them harm. I didn't wish them anything at all. I was too busy building a beautiful life with people who actually knew my name. My phone buzzed during the reception. A text from an unknown number. Heard you got married. Guess we weren't invited to that either. I deleted it without responding. Marcus noticed. Family? Yeah? You okay? I'm perfect. And I was, because the family I'd built, Marcus, Jennifer, Dr. Matthews, our chosen people, they celebrated me. They saw me. Te, Isha Widup. The family I'd left behind. They were still waiting for me to come back and be useful. They'd be waiting a long time. I took Marcus's hand and led him back to the dance floor. The DJ played our song. Our friends cheered. The ocean waves crashed behind us, and for the first time in my entire life, I was exactly where I belonged, with people who wanted me there, not because I paid their bills, but because I was me. And that was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything.